everyone, this is Melanie from Melanie B's Creative Studio and Supplies, and I'm back today with our second tutorial with the Procreate app and my Be Creative digital paint by number kit called Blue Santorini. In tutorial number 1, I showed you how to use Procreate and how to download this file and the swatches in order to start using this kit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select the Melanie B's paintbrushes, and I'm going to make sure I have the tiny detail paintbrush selected. Now you'll notice while I'm working, I'm going to zoom in on this. I'm going to rotate my canvas. That way I'm not rotating my iPad all the time. I'm usually just rotating by turning this constantly. One of the many great things about painting digitally is that we don't have to worry about these very bold numbers. Once we turn off this layer, we don't have to worry about whether we're covering those numbers and lines. All of them will be gone. Now the first question might be, where do we start? What number do we start with? You just decide. I'm not going to stand here and paint this entire digital painting. I'm going to start with some of the larger elements so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to start over here. I'll be honest with you, when I see these little tiny elements right here, I ignore it. Any of these little slivers of lines, I'm not paying any attention to it, because once I'm done, no one is going to know whether that was there or not. I'm going to open up the palette, Blue Santorini. I can leave it where it is, or I can move this palette wherever I want it to be comfortable. And I'm going to select number 9. And I'm going to move it over here. So here is the size of this brush at this moment. 2 fingers to undo. If I outline with this size brush, it might take me a minute. So I'm going to undo that. I'm actually going to take my brush size up a little bit. And you may notice these lines over here on my brush size. These are the ones that I use the most. I have my brush sizes saved. So if you want to do that as well, you're going to put your brush at the size you want it. You're going to click this plus sign, and it's going to save the size that you like. If you decide you don't want to use that size anymore, you would click the minus sign, and it's going to get rid of that saved brush size. I did notice when I was working with the off-brand styluses, those brush sizes were not the same as the official Apple Pencil. So when I say I'm using a brush size 55 in my brushes, it may not be the same size as what you're using if you use an off-brand stylus. Now you can go in with your Apple paintbrush and you can literally, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, and you can color this, paint this as you see fit. Okay. And if you're going to do it that way, then you would probably want to go into the Melanie B's large opening paintbrush and select a larger brush like we would if we were painting an actual canvas, and fill it in as much as possible. And then go down in size and pick a smaller brush and do the outline. But I'm going to tell you what I do, because I'm a cheater pumpkin eater, and I enjoy the blending process of the ones that need to be blended. So when I'm doing this fill-in portion, I use a trick. So let's do number 6, and I'm just going to outline, and I'm ignoring all these little slivers. I'm going to close this opening. It's hard to do this without getting in the way of the camera, so I'm at an awkward angle. Sorry about that. But as long as this is a closed shape, I'm going to take this color and drop it in. I can do that all over this painting. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and do the smaller areas. I'm going to choose a smaller brush, and I'm going to outline number 1. Now, because this is a very pixelated app, you have to make sure that it is completely closed. If there's a pixel that's open, it's going to fill in your entire screen and you're going to be like, what happened? So let me show you what that looks like. If I do this number 1 and I don't close that opening completely and I come to drop this color, that's what it's going to look like. And I'm going to panic a little bit. So all I have to do is make sure that circle is closed and drop my number 1 in there. Okay, so let's go with number 6. It's like I can't even outline today. I'm going to go up on my size. I'm staying on the inside of that number. Right now, I'm not real sure what that number is because it is a very small, tiny little number. And I don't worry about going over the lines. Just like I've said in a million videos, lines schmines, and it looks all wonky and not straight and whatever. But it's because I'm coming back with that number. But I can clean it up, and I'm also able to erase. So let's say I go, oh, I don't want to undo that entire line. I can go in here with my eraser and just clean up. Or, you know, if I've already done that color and I really do need to clean it up, then I can take that color and clean up like an eraser around the edge. Okay, so let's fill in with number 6. Make sure I still have number 6 in there. To me, color drop is so satisfying. I mean, it's not cheating because there's a lot of openings here. And as I said, for me personally, I get just as much satisfaction by filling in all of it with the color drop and then doing a little blending and moving on to another project as I do if I was coloring it, because I want to show you guys the magic of my magic blending brushes in another video. So as a reminder, if I'm zooming in and I'm not sure, now I believe that's number 5 right there, I'm going to turn off this number reference and I can go to this color selector here and then select that color, turn back on my numbers, and then I know for sure that I've got the right color to fill that in. It's a small area, so I just went down on the brush a little bit. The smaller the brush, sometimes it won't color fill, but there we go. So we're just going to do this little section of the top of this. Where'd that come from? And I do that a lot. Like, I'll accidentally hit my screen and not even realize it. So if you haven't painted in that area, you can just erase it. And if you have painted in that area already, you take the same color that you use for painting and you just go over that little brush stroke. So that is all I would do, is continue to fill in with my brushes just like you would do if you were painting an actual paint by number. Sometimes you'll have a lot of background. So like right here, number 13 is our background. I'm going to turn off these 2 layers right here so I can see what's happening. Then I can go to background color. And I know that number 13 is that color. Now right now it's like, yikes. But while I'm painting, I don't have to paint any of number 13. All the number 13s are going to be painted. And when I'm done, and those layers are turned off, number 13 is going to show through, because that layer and that layer are going to be the only layers that are showing. My sky is already painted, and any of the number 13s, like for example right here, that one is going to show through. That one, I don't have to worry about painting any more number 13s. And now again, these are just quick tricks, and you're probably like, well, why would I want the quick tricks? For me, I like to start a project, complete a project, and have that feeling of accomplishment, which I don't get very often because I don't get to complete projects very often. But for you, it might be you like to paint every little cell and enjoy that process. You do you, boo-boo. Like, you know how I feel about that. You approach these kits just like you would your normal paint by number. You do it the way it makes you feel fulfilled, happy, and brings you Zen therapy. They've been so relaxing, but I don't have the patience to really drag them out by coloring in each section. So I'm going to show you in this one little area right here how we would blend that if you wanted to blend it. So I'm going to go up here to my brushes under my Melanie B's paintbrushes. And I have them all in one folder at this point. If you purchase them, you'll get them in two separate folders. I'm going to go into Melanie's Magical Blender because this is a pretty large opening. What's cool about this brush is it doesn't matter what your color is set on. It doesn't choose that color. It's going to work with whatever colors you have and blend them together. That's why I called it a magical blender. Because this is a large opening, I can up the size of this brush and I might play for a minute. I'm going to start at this top saved size, which is a number 31 with the Apple pencil. And as I go along this edge, see how it starts to blend? Pressure sensitive doesn't work with the other styluses. I tried, it does not work. It only seems to work with the Apple pencil. But the more pressure you apply, the further out that blending goes. So if I just apply some pressure, I can go in here and kind of tweak it, you know, and lightly just smooth it out. And you talk about gorgeous when you're working with flowers or something like that. And my blending is complete. It's all in my magical blending brush. So that set actually has a mini magical blending brush, and that is when you get into those little teeny weeny little areas that you need to blend, like flowers that are like tiny. This one is a pretty decent size range. And then there's a flat blender brush. And then this one is if you're wanting a watercolor effect when you finish. And there's a digital painting kit that has that watercolor vibe. That's the one that I've used to get some of that water splat look. This one, sometimes you will have kind of a pixelated line edge because Procreate is a pixel-based app. So I'm going to take soft edge smoother. I'm going to set it at a size 1. I want it to be very small. And I'm just going to go very gently with really no pressure right along that edge where those two meet. It's not a blend, and it could be if you wanted it to be. It just eliminates any harsh lines between the two. I'm zoomed in super close and I'm going to see those pixels, but that's not going to be obvious when you're at, normal distance. I'll continue to work on this just like I've been showing you. I'll show you the finished project of this one. And I'm going to show you other digital painting projects that I've completed with the paint by number version and my blended version of that same painting. Then you can decide if you want to take your digital paint by number kit up to the next level. So I'll be back with part 3 of the Procreate tutorial. I'll see you back soon.